Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. It's your girl Maria Park, and we are here to talk about season 3 premiere of Stargirl, um, entitled "Frenemies," which I think, you know what? Why not? I mean, it makes perfect sense. So we are. I think the show or the season begins 2 weeks or 3 weeks past our post, Eclipso and the Black Diamond, all the stuff they went through in season 2, and the Dugan Whitmore family have gone on vacation. They're on the way back from Yellowstone. And while they've been gone, they've left Sylvester in their home, I guess, as the long term. I'm not sure how long he's supposed to stay with them, house guest, and he's like fixing stuff and cooking. And we see all these newspaper articles that are on the table that are showing like all the basically everything that Stargirl has been up to while she's been on vacation. Um, and then they kind of like do like little inserts of things that are happening around Blue Valley. So we have Rick is like burying Solomon Gun. He's trying to bury Solomon Grundy. We learn later on in the episode that the Shade told him different ways to bury him to resurrect him. Probably because if you've read his comic book bio, you know that, or at least followed them in the comics in Batman days, then you know that he used to be like a normal human who was like taken to like the swamp and magically resurrected when he died into what we now know as Solomon Grundy. So he probably just needs to find the swamp that brought him back to begin with to actually bring him back to life. I don't know if we're going to get this like magical swamp in this season or not, but hey, it could happen. Then we have Beth's parents that are doting on her. They're like it's so funny. It's like, careful what you wish for, right? Because in last season and season 1, actually, she had this really kind of like negligent helicopter type relationship with her parents. They were never around. And now that she's a superhero, even though they were in the middle of getting divorced, they have a common interest now, which is their daughter. And now they're both like, no matter what happens, they're always doting on her. Like, it's absolutely insane to me. I know, I thought it was really, really funny that just how into her being a superhero the parents are. And I'll have something to say about that later too. Yolanda, she's still a conundrum to me. She's been a conundrum. This is where the Arrowverse writing comes into play for me, okay? I've always felt that I don't understand how Yolanda gets out of her house, because remember when we were introduced to her parents in season 1, they made it very clear that they did not trust her because she sent, a topless picture to her boyfriend at the time, Henry Jr., Brainiac Jr., Brainwave Jr. And Cindy basically got a hold of it and spread it around. And so she basically is seen as nothing to her parents. And so they treat her horribly. Her grandmother, really isn't helping her either. Only her little brother was her main supporter. And we don't really see a lot of them, but she does reference in the episode that, if she gets caught by her parents sneaking out, she's, pretty much dead. She don't know what they're going to do to her. So I don't know how she's getting out to go on these missions, because they are very micromanaging, overbearing, and controlling parents. And so I've been surprised all of these seasons that she's gotten out of the house. So I don't know if we're going to see more of that this season, because I've always thought it was odd that she's able to show up to all these things and do all these things when her parents are very adamant that she go to school, go to church, and come home. So that's a thing. But we do see her in the opening coming out of church, waving to people, being, I think she's Catholic. So being a good Catholic girl. And then she sees Cindy across the street and it goes side eye. She's like, shade. She's like, huh. And it's so funny. I kind of feel like Yolanda this season is a little bit hypocritical, but we'll get into that in a minute too. We see the Crocs are, we know they moved next door. So they're out jogging with their daughter, Artemis, which is absolutely hilarious. They really are the comedy relief for me of this season, is seeing them, jogging, and just all of their antics. This season is probably going to be hilarious, but this episode was very funny with them. Jakeem is still doing his paper route. He has Thunderbolt, of course, with him. And of course, Cindy is trying to, I guess, prove herself she could be a JSA member and a hero. So she like sees this old woman like crossing the street, and she grabs her grocery bags and she's like, they look heavy. And so she takes the woman across the street. And, Cindy's split. I mean, she still got the Dragon King blood in her, but she killed her mom because of, her dad and making her crazy, basically. So, I mean, she's My heart does go out to her a little bit because Cindy is a very complicated character. And honestly, I don't think Yolanda and Rick are going to give her an easy time at all, even though I think she really is on some level trying to change. And it's very interesting for an Arrowverse show because the Arrowverse is very well known for having the superhero rehabilitation program on all of their supervillains. So, I mean, it's interesting that she's having a harder time, but yeah, we'll talk about that too. And then of course we have the gambler. The gambler, is back in town. And he's here for an interesting reason. He's trying to find his daughter. So we'll kind of jump into there. I will say also we did see the Shade in the coffee shop with Maria, and I'm very happy that Shade is nice to Maria. Us Marias appreciate it when people are nice to us because she tried, God love her, to make him some tea again, and he was looking like this is like sewer water, but he was like, oh, I think it's just about there. He did that little British etiquette where it's like, yeah, this is trash, but I'm gonna make you feel like it's okay or passable, but not really. So it's kind of like that passive aggressiveness, but it was, he could have been an absolute ass to her. So I'm glad that he was not. All right. So let's kind of get into what's going on now that the Dugan Moore family has returned to the house. So as I said, Sylvester has moved in. He's fixing stuff that Pat and Mike were supposed to fix. He's cooking. He's doing all of the stuff. And he built a display case for Cosmo. And that was the first alarm that this man is definitely not over being Starman, which of course, how could you be? I mean, honestly, how could you not want to have that staff back when you bonded with it, when it gave you all of these amazing gifts and powers or whatever? And then all of a sudden you are pseudo dead. And I say pseudo dead because he tells the story of how he woke up in his own coffin and had to dig his way out. And I'm like, who? That's some DC Zombies storylines I've ever seen it. That's pretty cool. There's a big mystery on how he was revived. And I'm hoping that we definitely get more into that. I know from a comic standpoint, there are many things that they can do before you become Skyman and becomes the founder of Infinity Inc. But this is the Arrowverse, and the Arrowverse likes to switch stuff up. So, it is what it is. I don't even know if I can still call it the Arrowverse. I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, so long story short, though, he's not over getting the staff. He on the one hand, he's like, yeah, Courtney, the staff has bonded with you. Cosmo is now yours, but he keeps taking it. Like he took it. So basically, he was talking with Pat, and Pat was going to go fly out with Stripe, and he decided to tag along as Starman, and he just took Cosmo without asking because Courtney was at school. And, she was not happy about it. But when he got home, I mean, she really couldn't say anything, because originally it was his and he's the one that's giving it to her. And I get it. It's like if it's like maybe like a relative, like an uncle or something gave you a car, but then he took the car out for, a joyride. He gave it to you for free. So you kind of feel like obligated to be nice about it or just to understand that maybe he still has some lingering feelings for this car. It's kind of how it is with the staff, only on a larger scale because there are powers involved. So that is a thing. But throughout the entire episode, it's him dealing with the loss of being Starman. And then Courtney does a few things in this episode that are stupid. The first thing she does is she says, I have an idea. How about while I'm at school, you take the staff out, and then when I'm at home at night, I'll take the staff out, and then we're just splitting duty. And he's like, oh no. And she's like, come on. And it really was irritating because he was giving her an out, saying, I'll train you, and then I'll just have to figure out my life. And she was like, nah, we'll just split the duty. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not gonna go well at all, So I thought that was pretty stupid. The second thing she did that was dumb, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't know if it's because I'm a minority or whatever, is who doesn't lock their doors of their house? Like, because Pat keeps trying to lock the door because, basically they're living side by side with ISA members. So, I mean, they're like, especially the Crocs. He's like, we need to keep the door locked. You're very trusting. And she's like, no, we need to be the better people. I'm like, woman, do you think people don't rob your house? A regular thief can come and steal your stuff and you're leaving the doors wide open. Are you crazy? So I just thought that in general was stupid. So that's just my personal bias, I guess. I don't know why she just thought, let's leave our doors open. No, that's not what happens here. But yeah, so they're going to split the staff duties. Now, when it comes to Cindy, like I said, she is technically, I don't even know if she's really a full JSA member. They took a vote. Beth and Courtney both were for her joining the JSA, and of course, Rick and Yolanda were not. So they're, because they don't have another member, there's not a split vote. So for some reason they went with Courtney. I guess because Courtney's team leader, they went with her idea. But they're not making an effort, and they're not killing. So now, to be fair, Cindy is being her bitchy, sarcastic, passive-aggressive self, but she is trying. And what's so interesting to me, and I'm just going to throw it out here, Yolanda kind of rubs me the wrong way because she's supposed to be Catholic, right? And I thought Catholic was all about forgiveness and, blah, 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 or, repenting and all of this stuff. And she's kind of like holding a grudge. And I know why. I know she blames Cindy and pretty much all of the ISA for her killing Brainwave. And I found that she still has so much guilt over it. We saw it tear her up last season. She still has all of this guilt that she's not dealing with. And so Cindy being, in her mind, part of the ISA is just the embodiment of all of that, pain and trauma for her. So there's a long road for her and Cindy to even remotely even be friends. Even though I do feel like on some level, Cindy and her are going to become friends. I just do, because again, if they follow the Arrowverse logic, supervillain, rehabilitation program that they do oh so well. They've been doing it since Arrow aired. Then yeah, more than likely that is going to happen. But for right now, they're not. Yolanda and Rick are just not having it. So now, speaking of Rick had a yellow hourglass and he had his cell phone. Now I know he broke his hourglass, so he doesn't have his powers. But I wonder what he's trying to accomplish. I know he's trying to raise Grundy from the dead, but is he also doing experiments to try and get his powers back? To be fair, he is brilliant enough to do it. He was in the comics and he will be in this season. So, I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to do something with him, because right now he's just walking around. He's a very smart guy walking around with no abilities and very minimal fighting skills. So he's going to have to get his strength back at some point. And then on top of that, so let's jump over to the Gambler again. So the Gambler is in town because he's trying to find his daughter. So it's revealed that he has a daughter. And the daughter's name is, she goes by Becky, because at this point, I'm not sure what age she's supposed to be. And the only reason I'm saying that is because it's actually Hazard. And Hazard, if you remember season 4 of The Flash, where all these people got on the bus and they all became metahumans. Well, she was one of them, because I recognized the name and I had to go back and look it up. But that is definitely Hazard. And Hazard actually is the granddaughter of the Gambler. Again, we see this all the time. Iris and Barry in The Flash are now the parents of technically their niece and their granddaughter and nephew. And actually no, the brother, actually, no, Iris's brother, Wally, is actually her nephew. And then, yeah. And then Bart would be the grandson. And then technically, XS does not exist. At least not for them. She exists in the comics, but she was not Nora. There is no Nora. It was Jenny. So yeah, they just kind of take all the children and they just kind of make them whatever. It's just so weird to me how the granddaughter is now the daughter, but yeah, Hazard is now the daughter. And if you remember her powers, she basically worked in this casino in the episode. And I remember she got fired because she spilled a drink on this guy and she had horrible luck. And when she became a metahuman, her luck reversed. And so she had all the luck in the world at the expense of everybody else. So everybody else could, if she was about to get hit by a car, it would literally leap around her and kill somebody else. That was her power. Very powerful, actually. I don't know if that's something that she's going to have in this season, if she actually find her in this season. Who knows? But yeah, the granddaughter is now the daughter, and the Gambler wants to find her and he wants to make amends, because the only reason he claims that he took the bad path in life is because his dad abandoned him, which, it's possible. But, everybody's kind of like the shade doesn't want to hear it, Courtney and actually, I think everybody that comes across him doesn't believe what he's saying. So, but he is absolutely trying to find Becky. He even wrote her a letter, which is so interesting because they killed him. They killed him off, which I guess should not shock me, because, the Arrowverse kills off all kinds of notable characters and villains. So, but The murder is actually the gambler. Somebody kills him. He put surveillance cameras everywhere, including outside the trailer he was in, but he never saw them on camera. But somebody had been watching him the entire time, and then they killed him. And then when the JSA are like patrolling, they're just going to check on him. Well, actually, they weren't patrolling. So like Rick and Yolanda were like not trusting of the gambler, so they were going to go check on him. Then they actually found Cindy over his body, and she's like, "I didn't do it." And the person, he was like, "I don't blame her," because I knew Yolanda and Rick will definitely blame her for that. But she's like, "I didn't do it." So somebody killed the gambler. Side note, I want to mention that the Shade, something wacky is going on. It looks like he's getting his Shade powers back. We'll see. They like to throw little nuggets in there that just kind of make you think, and they also like the things that are going in the background that people should really pay attention to, even if they don't go anywhere. Like, I don't know if anybody noticed, if you guys watched this episode about Zeke, the mechanic that's been helping Pat out with Stripe. This man is whole ass driving a truck, an open trunk bed. His truck bed is, there's nothing covering this. He's driving through Blue Valley with Stripe's hand strapped to the back of the truck bed. And nobody looks at this like, let's follow him and see where he's taking this. It's just like, Maria's like, "Morning, Zeke." He's like, "Morning, Maria." I'm like, there's literally the hand driving. This is why I'm telling you, people in Blue Valley are not observant at all. And then like something else that I thought was very, very interesting about this episode, another couple of background things, is Community Coffee the sponsor of Stargirl? And the only reason I'm asking this, you ever notice how many times you see Community Coffee? Not only is it on a mural on the wall, but it's like literally ever. They're like little signs of Community Coffee. Are they sponsoring? Are they one of the big sponsors of this? Just questioning things. Just questioning things. Also, when Beth's parents were talking to her about a new costume, and they are like, "Oh, it's Laser Lemon. It'll be awesome." Did you notice that the sketch was actually Beth Chapel's Infinity Inc. costume? I don't know if anyone caught that, but because she's like, "Oh, those are Rick's colors," but that's actually her costume when she joins Infinity Inc. when Sylvester starts Infinity Inc. basically. So I thought that was a really cool homage to that. I don't know if all these little hints just seem like they're gonna go that route, that Sylvester's gonna become Skyman, and then there won't be the JSA. There'll be Infinity Inc. eventually, which I'm here for, because I really love the Infinity Inc. stories. So I would be absolutely down for it. Now, I'm not down for what happens to Beth and what happens to Yolanda in the comics, but considering they de-age them and they've changed a lot of stuff, I doubt any of that's probably going to happen anyway. So Beth got her powers without going blind and all of that stuff, unlike how it was in the comics. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting excited for the potential, but then again, I don't know. It could be like Marvel, how they throw Mephisto at us all the time in different shows and movies. They could just be throwing Infinity Inc. around, just like, just for the hell of it, just to say, we know it's here, but we're not giving it to you. So I don't know. That could be a thing. So I love the Crocs in this episode. They want Artemis to be part of the JSA because Artemis wants to be part of the JSA, and God help her, she's trying. She's trying. She walked up to their lunch table and she's like, "Go team!" And they're like, "What the hell?" And then her mom shows up to talk to Barbara at work, and she's like, "Artemis wants to be part of the JSA, and if she's not allowed, then there could be consequences, basically." And we know what happened to the coach that was trying to bench her in season 2. I think it's season 2 or season 1. They killed him. So, Barbara's like, "Well, I don't really have any control over that." And so she's like, "Well, Artemis will prove herself." So when the JSA tries to stop this robbery in progress, Artemis comes out of nowhere and just starts beating the hell out of everybody. And then she pats the security guard in the head that got knocked down, and she's like, "Woo!" And then she just jumps off. The Crocs are absolutely hilarious. And the fact that Sportsmaster actually broke into their house to make smoothies, he actually brought Pat. It looked like a Vitamix, which is not cheap. And Pat's like, "This is why we locked the doors." But I love that he was in the house and he was talking about, the gambler being there. And he's like, "Gambler's just a piece of crap. Don't trust him." So another ISA member is telling him not to trust another ISA member. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But it does kind of put a question mark on who killed the gambler. There are so many suspects. So many people have so many reasons to off him. So who is it? Or are we going to be introduced to the latest villain, which I've read up a little bit, but I want to see if it's some of our core characters or villains that did it, or if it actually is a whole other character. it would be interesting because I know we are going to start getting the twins, the Lantern twins storyline incorporated into this too. So I don't know. There's a lot of suspects. Let's put it that way. Overall, I really like this episode, and it's just there's just little nitpicking. Like I said, the whole door locking thing kind of bothered me. Yolanda basically being Catholic, and she killed somebody, and she's still like not willing to give Cindy the benefit of the doubt. You would think of any character, it would be the one who goes to church every day. That would be the one that would, be more forgiving. Rick just has an anger issue. So, I mean, that's just going to be what it is. But I don't know. I just find that very interesting. And like I said, I love Beth's reaction to her parents because she was desperate for attention from them. And now they won't stop giving it to her. And she's like losing her mind. Like she's literally losing her mind. I kind of feel like something else is going to go on with Mike this season. They have to do something with Mike. Mike, I know, is going to be training to pilot, Stripe. And he's going to basically try and follow in his father's footsteps, which is good and bad. Because if you look at how Pat is now with Sylvester. Sylvester's back and he's still taking on this kind of like, I'm the hero, you're the sidekick. He even says, you can be Stripesy now that I'm going back to being, Starman and be just like the old days. And Pat's kind of like, it's not though. I'm not your sidekick anymore. And like Sylvester is stuck in time. And so he's not progressing and moving forward because he still can't get over the fact that he was killed prematurely and he's no longer a Starman technically, which I guess technically thanks to Courtney, he temporarily is, which is really weird. Which I don't know. My dream is he becomes Skyman. I'm just going to keep putting that out into the cosmos that this is his transitional period where he finally realizes I don't have to be Starman. I'm going to be Skyman and I'm going to found Infinity Inc. And I think that would be very cool because we get some really cool characters in Infinity Inc. I don't know exactly why they showed the Gamblers gang, the No Limit gang. They came back and they apparently everyone, well, I won't say everyone, Yolanda and Rick assumed that, of course the Gambler is actually lying about wanting to find his daughter and that he's working. It's a way of, getting people to trust him and he can get his gang to come in and just start robbing everyone blind and do whatever they got to do. And that's who Artemis ended up beating were members of his former gang, the No Limits gang. But the problem is that they weren't there for him. So then why were they there? Are they operating under somebody else and they're the ones that killed him? And whoever took over the No Limits gang? I mean, there's so many questions. There's so many questions that I don't have an answer for. So, but I like it because I get to speculate. But somebody definitely is playing a game. It's almost like watching Clue. And I love that we're actually starting off the season with an actual murder and not an apocalyptic event. Because I'm so tired of watching shows. And it's like, oh my gosh, the city's going to be destroyed by this blah, 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 ancient blah, 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 and the tablet, the crystal, and the black diamond, and blah, blah, blah. And then you get to it and it's like so effing anticlimactic. And I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have a good old, villain of the week or a good old murder mystery to solve rather than this crap. I mean, let's be clear. It worked for the Batman movie. I'm just saying. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how Cindy or Shiv, gets kind of like the blame for this because I think they're gonna try and dump this on her somewhat. I don't know. It's a very shaky relationship because Sylvester is like basically all the people that murdered our friends you're now living next door to and being chummy with, and so he's in his feelings. So Cindy, the Crocs, all of them, the Shade, all of them are going to be having issues. But again, the Shade's going through his own stuff. This season's going to have a lot of twists and turns, and we haven't seen Cameron yet either, so that's going to be interesting. But I'm kind of wondering, like, everything's going to have to come to a head. We still haven't seen who the main baddie is because, there has to be a main baddie. But I think they have to do some housekeeping first. They're going to have to solve the Gambler's murder. And I don't think that this is going to take the entire season 3 to solve. I think it's going to open the can up, though, to a lot of really bad stuff because these kids, they've gone through some stuff. Eclipso was not easy. That was a really dark season 2. And now they have to top that. And I think season 3 is either going to top it or try to bring us back to a more normal Blue Valley where people are just bad, So I don't know. That is something that I think could be a thing. But yeah, I just have lots of questions this season, and I'm kind of like enchanted with the idea of Infinity Inc. I just can't seem to let it go. I think I've been talking about Infinity Inc. guys since I started reviewing this in season one. I've always wanted to have Infinity Inc. And now that we're doing Stars and Stripes, I'm just like, we have so much potential. Them showing Beth Chapel's future costume as Infinity Inc., who, by the way, her mother made that costume. If you followed her in the comics, you know, she was the daughter of a preacher and a stay-at-home mom. And I think she had like 2 or 3 older brothers, and she was a surgeon. So she essentially is what her mother is in Stargirl. As a matter of fact, if you got rid of little Beth Chapel, her mother could absolutely be Dr. Midnight. She could be Beth Chapel. And I just love her showing her that image, because that is literally the costume from Infinity Inc., which made me so excited. And I don't know if they're going to do anything with it. It's driving me nuts. It really is. Just a thing. So yeah, that in a nutshell. I took a lot of notes for this because I was watching it. I watched it again before the stream because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. And that's when I came up with Rebecca. They knew about Hazard. I mean, she's an obscure character. You know, it's not somebody you really, remember. But I did remember her being in The Flash. I just couldn't remember in what capacity. And then when I saw her, I'm like, oh, it's Casino Girl. So I was like, so I wonder if it's the same character, because technically, well, now it can't be. It can't be, because they've already established that Stargirl is Earth 2 and The Flash is on Prime Earth, which for some reason, Superman and Lois I thought were on Prime Earth 2. No, Superman and Lois. Yeah, that's right. Superman. I always think Lois and Clark. I gotta make sure I'm saying it right. But I thought they were also on Prime Earth, but maybe they're not. I don't know what Earth Superman. I'm gonna go back and do some research on that. Crisis on Infant Poop really screwed a lot of crap up in my mind. So, but I remember Supergirl was on the same Earth. The Flash was on the same Earth. Black Lightning was on the same Earth. I don't know about the other series. Naomi wasn't. So yeah, I'm thinking Superman and Lois probably aren't, but then I don't know if they would be on the same Earth as Stargirl, because with all the cleaning of the CW house and the Arrowverse house and even HBO Max, all of the shows being like canceled, done away with. At this point, I don't know who's on what Earth. On The Flash, season 9 is their last season, so I don't know what's gonna be left. I guess everybody will either be moved to the same Earth, or the DCEU will be Earth 2, and maybe all the shows on TV will be Earth 1, or Stargirl and Superman and Lois will be moved to HBO Max. I have no idea how they're going to do this. I know this season is very interesting, and I don't want them to cancel it like they've canceled all the other shows, but at the same time, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to throw a little politics in here. I'm noticing that most of the shows are getting rid of are either POC driven or LGBTQ+. And so we don't really have an out character in Stargirl. We don't have anyone queer in any capacity, or transgendered or non-binary that we've seen in Stargirl. And that might be why they're being saved. Even though there are villains and there are children that are fighting, it's seen as more wholesome. So I'm wondering if that's what it is. I guess my rule of thumb is if you can't scream agenda like a lot of people like to do, then your show is pretty much safe. Superman and Lois only has a handful of minorities, if that. No queerness whatsoever. So yeah, I think that's probably the recipe for what saves you on that channel. I don't know, just something I thought about. We'll see what happens with some of the newer shows that are premiering, like the Gotham Knights, which I'm still on the fence about, guys. Still on the fence about that show. But the moment they pop out with any things I just mentioned, they probably will be canceled before the season ends, just like Tom Swift. So who knows? But as for Stargirl, yeah, I'm very, very, very intrigued with how they're going to handle this murder. I don't know. It's just something about having murder, like a defined murder, like where you have to think who done it type situation on a superhero show, that I always find fascinating, because it brings you back to like Detective Comics. And it's just, back in the day when Batman was solving crimes outside of just fighting villains. So I think it's kind of cool. I think it's cool. Hello, D. Marie. Thanks for dropping by. Awesome. Latina, I wonder if we'll have seen the main villain of the season yet. I'm wondering too. It'd be funny if Maria or Zeke are the actual main villains of the story. That'd be kind of cool. Zeke is like a ninja, man. He just goes in, does his stuff, and he doesn't ask any questions. He's just like, "Hey, I'm just gonna do this," and then he's out. It is so weird how that man just drives around town and nobody just thinks, "Why are you driving this truck with this big ass hand on it? It's a big metal hand." It's crazy. I didn't look at the name, but what did you guys think of the new voice actor for Thunderbolt? Because I know that there was a recast, so that's interesting. I'm pretty sure that there is a two-parter called Infinity Inc. around the halfway point this season, so who knows what happens there. I will be so effing excited if they bring us Infinity Inc. You guys have no idea. I mean, I own so many Infinity Inc. comics. I think that was like when I was in high school, that was probably one of the most collected ones besides Uncanny X-Men. And I forgot which Spider-Man run was going when I was in high school. Because you got to understand, guys, I graduated in 1995, so I don't remember any. It's hard to remember those days, but I do remember getting a lot of Infinity Inc. stuff and like being really hooked on some of the past issues. So I don't know why, I just really love the flow of that comic because it was so real, you know. I don't know. I loved Infinity Inc. It would be interesting if there was a schism among the team and they broke up into two factions of Justice Society and Infinity Inc. I think that would be very cool. Very, very cool. I'm just happy that there is a DC show where I like pretty much everything in it, unlike other shows that shall not be named. Yeah, we don't need a name them. Trust me, I'm on the same boat. I still have not given you my how they should have done Batwoman. Or if we had to have Ryan Wilder, how we should have written. I didn't have a problem with the actress or technically the character in general. I had a problem with the writing for this character. And so, yeah, there was something I would have done to fix all that, or some things, should I say, I would have done to fix all that. And yeah, the writing was really bad on that show. So yeah, sorry, I kind of named one of them. So that was my bad. But yeah, I really feel like, because I don't know if they're going to have a Stargirl and Superman and Lois crossover. Because on the one hand, I know they were like really excited to do something like that. But on the other hand, not just with COVID, but because honestly, the CW and Warner Brothers can't afford to put but 2 DC movies out this year. So, I mean, I don't know if they can afford to do anything on the CW. So, I guess we really aren't calling it the CW, really, are we? Are we still calling it the CW? What is happening with Discovery? I don't know. I don't know what we're calling it. So whatever we're calling it now, be it the CW with new owners or whatever they decide to do, I kind of feel like we may not get a crossover anytime soon because of budget constraints. They can't afford it. I'm surprised they were able to do what they did on this show. And what's really, for me, what's going to disappoint me is if we do not see more of the Green Lantern abilities because of budget. Like, I know that's what happened in the last season. You know, they introduced this character, legacy Green Lantern character, well, child of a legacy character. And we can't see just how powerful she is as a lantern and her own abilities because of budgets. And the budget, is too expensive. So then it makes me wonder, why did you do that? There were so many other characters you could have brought in, especially from Infinity Inc., that you could have shown and spotlighted that would not have cost as much and then would have had more, involvement in the plot. And I know they're going to have her looking for her brother and dealing with the crazy, situation because, we know he's being held hostage, basically trying to free him. But are we going to see them use their abilities? Are we going to see them use lantern rings? Are we going to see them? I mean, are we going to see lantern anything? So, I don't know. Because they actually are metahumans that just had, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like, yeah, you're right. Jade is a big deal in Infinity Inc. I'm hoping they keep Jade around because, I mean, she just seems to pop in and out. And again, she is trying to find her brother. So I do get that. But I don't know. I'm kind of her, like the twins always remind me of Cloak and Dagger in a way. So only not into each other. Obviously, they're twins. But I just feel like they bring like an extra element to the show that I would like to expand on. And something else, I'm really, this is gonna sound cheesy, but I really want Rick and Beth to get together because they were together in the comics. They were together in Infinity Inc. They had a very, as the product of an interracial marriage, I like looking at them because it was one of the things I could see. It was like, tangible. This is evidence they are together. So I really would like to see them together. Even though I know they're a lot younger. They've been de-aged, they're a lot younger. I would really like to see them, especially since Beth wants to have a boyfriend or a partner, in this season. It would be really interesting to see that. I know a lot of people are wanting Shiv and Yolanda to be together, like Wildcat and Shiv to be together. That would be crazy, but I'd be down for it. Enemy to frenemy to lovers tropes are always fun for me, but I don't know how I feel about that. That would be very interesting, I guess. I don't know. I think Mordor would make a great major villain. I think so too. There's so many villains that they could bring in, especially during the Infinity Inc. run. So I don't know. But our biggest mystery right now is who killed the gambler. Is it a new villain or is it somebody closer to home? So that's something that we need to look into. I will say I thought it was very symbolic that the gambler threw his pistol away because he really was intending to just find his daughter. And I want to know more about the woman he impregnated, since again, Hazard was his granddaughter in the comic. So who is the mother of Hazard in this version? And if you remember in the comics with Hazard, she actually joined the ISA 2 to kind of like avenge her grandfather's death because he was murdered by the JSA members. So I don't know if they still have that type of storyline. Maybe she'll come and realize that was her dad and get like ticked off and then like go on like a revenge spree against the JSA, or thinking they murdered him, or I don't know. There are lots of things that could potentially happen. But the doctor, I call him Dr. Love because that's what his name was in the damn comics when I read it. When he impregnated Yolanda's mother with, like he basically was giving all of his patients that were getting prenatal care like metagene boosters and stuff like that, and that's how Yolanda became a metahuman, because Yolanda is a metahuman in the comics. She's not a human that just got a suit. She's a metahuman. And Wildcat, the original Wildcat, was actually her godfather. So like I would love to see Dr. Love, which is what I'm calling him, be the one that came to town, because he did seem the guy that's playing the doctor in the last I want to say the last 5 minutes of the season finale last season. Maybe not. It was like a millisecond. Him and this creepy nurse, they had sights to go to Blue Valley, so we know that they were going to Blue Valley. So more than likely, it could be them. I don't know why they would kill the gambler unless they had some kind of run-in with him. I don't know. I mean, like I said, this is what's so interesting. We know that they are coming to cause problems this season because of some of the shade they're doing. Of course, the twin storyline. So, I mean, I don't know. That could be a thing. But I mean, I don't know. I want to put like a villain board up and like a suspect board up and just try and figure out who killed the gambler because it's fun. I will try and do these reviews a lot faster. It's just harder right now to try and get them out because of all the stuff. Like I said, dealing with estates, guys. I hope you guys never have to go through dealing with somebody who died and you having to handle their estate. It is a nightmare. It is not a one and done thing. This is a 6 to 8 month process. They told me 4 to 6 months. Now there's going to be 6 to 8 months process. Can do nothing until people, if he had debts, people have to prove they have debts. You have to go to all of these court cases. Like, it is insane. Like, I have all of these like things I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis outside of my normal stuff in life, like work. And so it's so hard, getting these reviews done. And I really want to. I was watching the show. I'm like, I really want to talk about this. And I'm like, can I squeeze a stream in? So I've been trying to be more proactive in doing that. Just like She-Hulk. I really, really enjoyed the last episode of She-Hulk. I am going to make every effort imaginable to do this stream tomorrow. I have a new router coming though from Xfinity, and they have not given me a window. They said from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm like, that's insane. So hopefully I'll be able to do my review tomorrow. If not, during the afternoon, tomorrow evening. It just really depends on if they bring my new router. Because the problem is my current router is okay, but I don't know if I told you guys I'm a voice actor, and I use a program called Source Connect, with some of my clients to transfer. So think of it like ISDN. Well, my modem will not port forward for it. So it keeps losing connection, even though it's hardwired to the router. So they've determined that they think the router is the problem. So they're replacing the entire router. It's supposed to be a newer one and with, a larger broadband, a lot faster. We'll see. But that means I have to wait for an installer to come in here, and they don't give you a time frame. So I have no idea what's going to happen. And it sucks because tomorrow's Labor Day and it's the perfect time to talk about She-Hulk because I don't have any voice jobs. I don't have anything I have to do tomorrow for once on a Monday. And now I have to wait for an Xfinity installer. So yay. So hopefully I'll be able to do it. So if you guys are just on the community tab, if you see it just a random stream pop up, I know I sometimes don't give you guys a lot of time, but it's basically because that's how my life is rolling right now. I'll just pop up a stream and say, can you do this in a couple of hours? Blah, 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 and I'll just do it. I will try very hard, but if not, it's going to have to be Tuesday. So fingers crossed. And then my Orville video with the actors for Claire and Isaac should be posted either today or tomorrow. I've just been rendering it and I got kind of behind on videos. So yay for that. But yeah, outside of that, again, Stargirl, love it, love it, love it, love it. It's great season 3, opening. This is one of the better season 3, premieres, even though I will say their season 2 premiere is still my favorite. It was dark. It was like a horror movie. I effing loved it. But season 3 is opening. And just the opening scene and just the whole episode itself is a very good precursor for season 3. So hopefully they will keep us on track. And if you guys are right and they are going to have an Infinity Inc. episode or 2 episodes, that is my dream. Solidifying Stargirl as my favorite Arrowverse show of all time. So if they do that, it will literally be my favorite series in season or series in general of all of the Arrowverse or whatever we're calling the verse now. So just putting it out there. All right, guys. I've talked a lot. If you guys have any other questions, concerns, theories, and all of that stuff, please put it in the comment section below. Again, I will try and get our She-Hulk review stream set up for tomorrow and have the Orville second cast interview. I've already done one. Posted potentially tonight, if not, definitely tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And if it is day for you guys, have a very good day. If it is night for you, have a very good night. And I will